10 episodes, baby! Thank you for being with us for such a long time. Stick around. Today we'll try and get petrol prices.
You want to check it once? Okay. Let it be.
I think we are good.
Yeah.
I think we are good.
Let's go ahead.
All right. Let's go ahead and get started. So Ravi, today is going to be a long episode, a big episode. Man, because we'll have to get those petrol prices, save it somewhere, host it as a service, and all of those things. And I think that whole explanation thing is going to take a lot of time.
Okay.
So let's go ahead and get started. All right. All right. So here is what we are going to do, right?
Look at jokes.
Yeah, I mean, if you didn't know this already, every time we do an introduction, there is a joke at the bottom. So you can actually go back to all of our episodes and see what.
Look at the jokes, yeah.
Look at the jokes, yeah. All right. So, so I have with me this. So we were talking about getting petrol prices.
Uh-huh.
Now there are not a lot of web services that actually provide you data that provide you this petrol data, petrol prices or anything, right? So I wanted to sort of write a web service.
Wow.
That other developers can consume and maybe use
do
it
something.
Right? So there are already web services for currency conversion, for even chess moves and all. You have web services and all of those things. So petrol prices are available on the internet, right? But they are not available as a web service. So this is an attempt at us. This is an attempt to making it as a web service.
Right.
The only place where I saw something that resembles a web service was the Indian Oil website. So I have it loaded over here, and so you can enter a location over here. So for example, we are in Mylapore right now, right?
Yeah.
So let's just enter Mylapore. You can provide any location over here. So keep that in mind as we proceed. And it shows all of the petrol stations in and around Mylapore, and I can click on one of them and it tells me all of this information, right? At this petrol station, which is called the Royapeta Petroleum Agency, you have this washroom, credit card, and all of that information, right? So you have the petrol prices, you have the diesel price, you have the premium petrol price and the premium diesel price. So you have all of this, and you have a lot of information also
about the
available.
pump itself.
Yes.
Yeah.
So using Chrome or even Firefox's developer tools, we should be able to find out how they are getting all of this information. All right. So let's look at another location, for example. I'm going to put my town, Neelangarai, for example, and say locate. And right over here, you will see that there is a web service call that they make, and it's called near locations. I mean, they have something, and if you look at the headers that they pass, I mean, they have a lot of information, but the form data essentially includes the latitude and the longitude of Neelangarai, for example. All right, and once you do that, they send a response back, which is essentially a text file. Let's take this text file, put it into an Excel and see what it looks like. See what information that we want. All right. So let's just take this. I'm going to put it in Sublime Text because that's the one that that's the one that I have. All right. So you will see that this has. I mean, it's a little bit jumbled.
Correct.
Yeah. I mean, it's not. It doesn't make a lot of sense or anything. But it'll start making sense in just a little while. So so every location that you saw on the page, let's go back to the page. So every location that you saw over here is returned to us in the form. It's basically all just one line, and they delimit every location by a pipe symbol. So let's just split this file by the pipe symbol. All right, so I'm going to do just that. Yep, that's it. All right, and every row and all of the data is separated by commas. So in essence, this has now become a comma separated value file. Right, I'm just going to say view, don't word wrap. So you can see that there are about 10 locations in and around Neelangarai that the service has automatically returned for us. Okay, so let me just save this in my temp folder. So home temp, and I'm going to call this prices.csv, because technically this is a comma separated value file. So let's just go to our file and open this in either Excel or LibreOffice. And when you import it, it asks you how you want to import it. I'm just choosing comma over here. And there you go. So that's the data that has returned. So everything that you saw on the front end itself, right? Let's say, for example, I click on this. So you see that it has a lot of information. All of this information that you see is returned with the web service. Right?
Yeah.
Including the latitude and longitude. It has the actual address of the place, and then there are a bunch of yeses and nos and these times and all of those things, and that you can easily interpret as these things, right? Like, for example, does this location have a washroom? Does it accept credit card and separate restrooms and all of those things? All right. These columns are actually not that important for us. The ones that are important for us are the petrol prices. So there you go. So those are the petrol prices.
Yeah.
So in this location, you can see the four things, or the four most important things. That's the petrol price. That's diesel. That's premium petrol, and that's premium diesel. You also have other things like the contact number and all of those things. But for the purposes of making this episode and for the purposes of our web service, I don't want to store all of them. This is what I'm envisioning that I will store. I will store, for example. So first of all, the web service that I'm going to serve is only going to serve you cities. Petrol prices in a specific city. Now, if you remember, I just took petrol prices from Neelangarai, Mylapore and all of those things. I'm not going to go into that granularity.
Right.
I'm just going to say this web service, if you give us a city, I will tell you what is the price of the latest price of petrol in that city or something like that. That's about what I want to do. All right. So how am I going to store it? I'm going to say the city name, right? And then I'm going to have the petrol station or this petrol station name. You want to store its address? No, right? I mean, you want to store its address, or how about? How about?
Okay, your choice.
Yeah. How about we store the address also? Yeah, that's fine. I mean, I think we can store the address because it's already available to us. We can just store it. And what do I mean by store it? I basically want to store it inside a table.
Right.
But
why do we give preference to any one petrol station, right?
So let's say you query our web service with a city. It'll give you a list of all of the petrol bunks and their prices.
Oh, you're going to give all the petrol brands?
Yes. So what I'm envisioning is that there will be multiple rows with the same city. So if you selected Chennai, for example, right?
Oh, you want to have all of them?
Yes, I want to have all of them in and around, like, let's say a location in Chennai. Right? This is just an exercise in basically getting the petrol price and exposing it as a web service. So
yeah, but there'll be like hundreds of petrol stations in Chennai.
Yeah, of course. So when you give a specific latitude and longitude, it only looks at it inside a specific range. Right. So it doesn't give you all of them. So if I went to this, let's say, if I went to Chennai, Tamil Nadu, it doesn't return all of the thousands of them. It will only return in and around Chennai. So nothing in greater Chennai. Even Adayar is also not included, for example.
Okay.
Right? So it only has these. So maybe we can just write a web service that will just give me all of these.
Okay.
Right? So yeah, so I have the address, and then we can just have the petrol price, right? Diesel price. This will be premium petrol, premium diesel. That's it. These are the only rows that we want to store. Now, when a user when a developer requests for our data and says, I want to do it in Chennai, it'll just list, the service will essentially return you all of the rows that match Chennai. Oh, by the way, I also want to store the date and time. I also want to store the date and time. So when a developer requests for our web service and passes in Chennai, it will look at the latest date and time and then return you all the petrol stations along with their prices. So it will basically be a list of JSON values which will contain the petrol prices. Okay. Why am I storing this date and time? Because I also want to eventually, sometime in the future, I also want to do the historical data. I also have like a historical record essentially. So what I want to do is convert these prices, convert this into a Python program that will be running as a cron job. Let's say, for example, every day in the morning at 2 o'clock or something. Right? I mean, when the service is basically no longer, when the service is not expected to be in use, that's when I make the service calls, store it in a database. And when somebody queries my web service, it just essentially gets it from the database and then returns the data back. Okay. Now, I could like basically bypass the entire thing so that, you know, when somebody hits my web service, I just directly go to Indian Oil's web service and then get the data back. But then that will be like a lot of load on the Indian Oil's service, right? So that's what I'm trying to avoid essentially. Yeah, so that's about it. So you want to go ahead and get started. Sure. Yeah. So we've already looked at some things to get us started with at least storing the database or storing the data that we want. Okay. So what have we looked at? We've looked at what the data is returned, right? We've looked at the service, the data that is returned. How do we need to parse it and essentially store it? Now I am actually talking quite a lot about storing this inside a database. So I already have the MySQL server set up. I mean, I only have the MySQL server set up, but I don't have a database, right? How do I want to close everything? Close all. Don't save. All right. So I have a local MySQL server job running. I mean, or MySQL server running. I'm going to create a new database. So I'm using the dbeaver. This is as the MySQL client, right? I mean, this is like a nice GUI that allows me to connect with the MySQL server and everything. And I'm going to call it petrol prices. Now keep in mind that all of this is happening on our local server. All right, this is all local, but at some point in time we will host it on our codespace.site website, and you know, when it is ready, we'll put it in the description of this video. All right, so I'm going to create a database called petrol prices, and I'm going to call it petrol_prices. So once I've done that, let me create a new query. Which one does this use? What database? Oh yeah, so it is using the database petrol prices. Let me create a user for this database, right? It's called create user, right? Create user, or so how do I create a user in MySQL? Do you remember? It is create user. I'm going to call this fuel_user at localhost identified by a password. All right, so this is a password that that needs to have, you know, special characters or something, special characters and everything. So I'm going to call it fuel 77 here. So that's what I'm going to call it. So I have the create user thing going on. Let's see what happens if I execute. All right, so this is executed now. So now I have a user called fuel user. All right, I have to remember what the password is. Now, obviously, when I create it on the server, when I create it on the codespace.site server, the passwords would not be fuel hash. I mean, I'll basically change the password and everything. So I am mindful of the security related issues of it. Okay. Okay. So now I have to give this fuel user all the rights on the petrol prices schema or database. Grant all privileges, right? Grant all privileges on petrol prices dot star. 2, is it 2? Yeah, 2 fuel underscore user at localhost. I think that's the command. Let's see. Okay, so now I have a database and I also have a user called fuel user. So when I connect to this database from Python, I will be using this user called fuel user. The reason for that is because I don't want to connect to this database using the root username and password, right? So I don't want to do it through root, which is why we're going through all of this. So I'm going to keep this window. Please be mindful of the fact that I am also mindful of the password being plainly displayed over here, because when we end up deploying this on the server, this won't be there. We would move this into an environment variable. We'll get to that. All right. So I have this fuel user. Now let's create a table here, and we'll call it petrol prices. Right. So I have this new table. Where are the properties? Yeah, these are the properties. I'm going to call this. I probably should have just called this something. I'm just going to call this historical. Is that okay? You think the name is okay? Alright. So I'm just going to call this historical. Let me create a new column. This would be the ID column, right? Because I need an ID. And this would be not null, auto increment. And it should be a primary key also. Alright. So, and the data type should be int. I'm going to call this an integer. Alright. What's the next one? I need, what's the next one that we decided? What's the next column? So we decided it will be date and time, because I do need the date and time, because if I decide to run it multiple times in a day, I'd need a way to essentially capture that. So I'm going to call it date time. I'm going to make this date time not null. Yep. Alright, create new column. That would be the station name. No, I need the city. What am I doing? Why do I have the date time first? Yeah, that's okay. Actually, that's okay. Call it city. No, just city actually. And let this be a varchar 100. Yeah, that's it. Yeah, not null. So I have the city, and then I have the station address. All right, and this will be varchar, or it should be a bigger. I'm going to call this varchar 500.
I'll just be back with
the restful. We'll say, can the address be null? Sure, the address can be null. Oh, what happened? Oh yeah, so okay, so the full name is there. Okay, create new column. So that's the address, and that's it. Yeah, so that's I'll just create the petrol. I'm going to call this not int, but this needs to be a monetary value. I'm just going to see if there is anything monetary value related. Okay, I don't see anything. I could go with the float. Alright, let me go with the float, and this should definitely be not null. Alright, so now I have the petrol price, I have the diesel price. Alright, so the petrol and the diesel column, they refer to the prices of them. I'm going to call this float as well. Now let me see if there is a duplicate column. No, there is not. Okay. So I'm going to call this premium petrol. Once again, this will also be a float, not null. Premium diesel, I'm going to make this a float, not null. Alright, so now that I have all of the columns that I need, I can now save, and this will give me the SQL query, which I can open in an editor. So this is auto increment. I want to make this the primary key. So I've put the primary key keyword here, and yeah, that's it. I should be able to execute it. So yes, so now I have a database. I'm just going to refresh this. What does that mean? Okay. All right. So yeah. So that's about it. So now I have a database, and inside the database I have a table called historical, which essentially has these columns. So let me close this for just a second, and let's just say view table. So yes, so this is the table structure that we have essentially settled on. Now what I want to do is I want to start gathering the data. Now before we do that, so remember I was talking to you about having a service that when you provide the name of a city would give the petrol prices in that city. That's the service that I'm envisioning. All right. So to do that, I essentially need a list of all the cities for which I'm going to be getting the prices for. So I have done that beforehand, and what I have here is a list of cities. All right. So I've just taken some of the major cities in India. So I have Chennai, Hyderabad, Bangalore, Mumbai, Delhi, Kolkata, Guwahati, Ahmedabad, Bhopal, and Kochi. So I have some 10 cities, and the idea is that I will now call the web service that the Indian Oil web service, all right, and I'll pass the latitude and the longitude. So if you look at this list over here, it has latitude and it has longitude. All right. So before we proceed, let's create a let's open our project. I'm going to close this for just now, for the moment, and I'm going to call this I'm going to call it city latitude and longitude dot properties. So now I have a list of all the properties, all right, all the cities and their latitudes and longitudes. So the idea is that I'll create a Python file that will read through this property file line by line, take the city, take the latitude and longitude, call this web service with the data that is returned for this web service, parse the data that is returned from the web service and store it in this table. That's the idea that I have. All right. Now, before we start accessing this web service, remember from our if you remember from our previous episode where we fetched all the election data, what we did was to ensure that we respect the Robots.txt. Now, the Indian Oil website apparently does not maintain a Robots.txt because Robots.txt essentially should contain a list of the bots that can access it and how frequently they can access it. Now, I can show you an example of that on my own website. I have my own website called matkarma.in, and I have a robots.txt maintained there. And so you can see what happens. You can see that I have defined a user agent over here. So that's one of the bots, and I have specifically only allowed it to be accessed once every 15 seconds or so. All right. So when I was first setting up my website, I found out that, or when I checked the logs, I found that this particular bot was continuously accessing my website for a very long time, and it would make it would make a lot of hits on a day. So I didn't like that, so I put a robots.txt to slow down its crawl. And to its credit, this bot essentially slows down or respects the crawl delay that I have provided here. Now, unfortunately, the Indian Oil website, the pump locator sub URL or the main website doesn't host a robots.txt. But just for posterity's sake, we are going to ensure that we only hit these web services, in a certain delay. Because what happens is, let's say I run through all of these. Let's say making a web service call from your local. Making a web service call is just so fast. some IT administrator sitting at the Indian Oil IT department might figure out, or at least might try to, or might see a lot of hits coming onto his server, and he might not like that, and he might stop our Python program or our IP address. He might essentially block our IP address. So we don't want that to happen. So we're going to have some crawl delay. All right. So essentially, whenever I access a specific city, or whenever I get the petrol prices for a specific city, I'm going to make sure that there is a delay before I start with the next line. That was the whole point of this. All right. So let's start with writing this program. All right. And we're going to call this getPetrolPrices.py. All right. So what are the things that we need? Let me open the entire folder instead of just this, so that I can look up some of my previous code. Right. If you recall, this was our anagrams thing. Oh, okay. So all I have to do is this. All right. The name of our property file is citylatlong.properties. So I'm going to open this as a text file. I'll call the file handler as prompts. Prompts.read. That's it. So I'm just going to read this and I just wanted to see if I can read the file.
Right, so lat long. Oh, you have these stored.
Yeah, these
Okay.
I have already stored.
Okay.
Okay. All right. Hopefully this is big enough. All right. So I have these lat longs. All right. I've opened the file, read it, and I have the line. So.
Rat.
I'm going to split it first on the this thing. I'm just going to call it split 1 and split 1 of 0. All right. So I have both the city and the latitude longitude. Now I need to make the so I can make the web service call. Right. Now, hold on. Let me split the latitude and longitude also. I'm going to call it split 2 is equal to lat. On the comma. Alright, that's because you have the city. I've already split this, and now I need to split this essentially by the comma. So I have that. You have a better way of doing this?
It's okay.
Yeah, this is okay? Okay.
Yeah, there is, but it's okay.
So I have the latitude, which is split 2 of 0, and I have the why can't these both be the same length? Alright, so I have all of these three added over here.
Okay. You just want to make it longitude.
What? Oh, I didn't save it. I'm sorry. Just the one? Oh no, it's
Yeah.
it's read line, right?
Yeah,
Or-
read line. But you, and then,
Right.
then,
yeah. And then what?
so for, you just say for with open this as props for a line in props.
Oh.
You can just do for a line in props and
Okay.
do all of that. Props, yeah, colon,
Oh.
and you don't need that now anymore. That line you don't need. Yeah, and then just
Oh, I didn't. Okay.
yeah.
Okay. So there you go.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, yeah. You know what? I need to. I need to strip it also. So strip will essentially strip everything. So now I have all the three variables. I am essentially ready to now save it or make that call. So when you had left, I was like actually just showing what I had. I mean, they don't have a robots.txt, right? Essentially, we should honor whatever is there in the robots.txt, and I was showing an example of how on my site I have the robots.txt and I have like a crawl delay and everything. See, the thing is, if I make this call, you can see how fast Python will execute. If I make these 10 calls within a matter of a second, somebody at the system administration site at Indian Oil is going to discover that this IP address is hitting us so many times, and he might block our IP address, right? So we'll put some sort of delay in our Python code so that each web service is called after a certain delay. All right. Now the thing is, it's okay because for our testing purposes, we'll make sure that the delay is small. But when we deploy this as a cron job, right, we'll have to factor that in. Our delay has to be a longer time. You get that, right? Okay. Excuse me.
Although for 10 calls, I'm not. I think it will not be so much of an issue.
You know what? I system administer my own site. I really don't like when. Let me just show you what I mean by that. So I have a log viewer on my site, which essentially lists who has been visiting it. Most of these are bots, and some days the bots are just very bad. These are all bots because nobody visits my site. Right? But if you look at, the bots, they're just a menace, man. Look at this guy, for example. This is called an ads bot, or things like that. I have put filters in place to ensure that at least I don't log these bot visits. But some of them, they don't even set the user agent properly, which specifies that they are actually a bot.
Right.
So they don't do that. They don't honor the user agent very well. A lot of bots don't do that.
Got it.
One of them is Amazon WebService. They're actually notorious for this.
Why are they?
Or at least that's what I have
website?
found. Look at this. All of these visits,
Right.
These are all so they just keep crawling. I'm not sure what they do.
Right.
And they keep crawling the wrong page. All I'm serving them is like a 404 web page all of this time.
Wow.
All of these 404 things, they're all bots because they're not hitting the web page. So what they're doing is they're doing some kind of probe to see if this page is available.
Right.
Things like that, which I don't like.
Right.
So if any system administrator, if at my level, if I do this, can you imagine somebody a system administrator sitting at Indian Oil and seeing some weird IP address from Mylapore hitting their web service so many times without taking permission?
Right.
Going to bother somebody.
Okay.
Alright, that being said, we are now ready to make the web service call, and we'll do that using the requests. Oh yeah, before that, I actually forgot to mention what the web service looks like, or what the URL looks like. This is the URL in question. We'll put all of this in the description and everything. This is a post web service, which means I essentially need to send this data, this latitude and this longitude. Alright, so let me just take this and put it in over here. Alright. Alright, so So ideally these all should be in some sort of configuration file or something like that. Right? But for now we'll just store it like this. So by the way, let me just also store the username and password for our database. Okay, just going to call it. I already forgot. See, this is. I'm so glad I didn't close it. Oh my god, I didn't close it.
You will hash something. You had saved it in some other file also, right? Not
Did I?
Yeah. You had. Not in this. Not in this. You had. Oh.
Yeah.
You were showing it, right?
Yeah, I was showing it.
So it was in a Python file, no?
No. Oh no. That's a different thing. I was just testing it essentially.
Okay.
Let me see if I can. You know what? I might as well just create a new user, right?
No, I'm sure you can see the users. Okay, your choice.
Yeah.
Sure.
Or you know what? Let's just do this. That's the fuel user. Yes.
Very good.
Yeah, it is the fuel user.
Correct. Very nice.
I did actually forget the password already, which isn't a great thing. Hold on, let me see. So that's the user privileges. So that defines the user, and he has. Okay. Excuse me. So what do you think? Should I just create the new user? Create a new user?
So good.
Okay. Create user fuel user 2 at localhost identified by whatever password. What did I call it? I'm just gonna call it something. Alright, that's the password and that's the user. Alright. So typically these would be ideally these would be in their configuration files. The usernames and passwords would be encrypted. Right? And the key file for those encryptions would be stored in some other secret location that only you would know in. And every time you make this call, we'll have to ensure that you decrypt it before you connect to the database and all of those things. Alright. Getting back to making the web service call. So I have import requests. Alright. I have the URL. I don't want the print. Instead, what I'll do is say I'll say for getting petrol prices from. So I'll just print this, and I'll make the JSON call. I mean, I'll make the JSON data, right? Or the post data that needs to be sent, which is essentially associative array, and
we call it a dictionary in
or dictionary. All right. So we have the latitude, which needs to be sent, and then we have the longitude. So I have the post data ready, and then I can just say manage. Say petrol data is equal to request dot post, right? All I need is the URL and the post data, correct?
Data
and
equal
then,
to
data is equal to post data. Is that correct?
Yeah.
So now I have this. So what's this URL? Okay, it should be this. It's essentially a constant. This would ideally be inside of a configuration file. Just keep that in mind when you're developing your own web service or your own program. So I have this. Let me just print out what the Petrol data returns. All right. So I have this. Okay. Now here's the thing. Here is what I want to do. Hold on. Okay. So because this is a property file, we ideally want to ignore everything that starts with a hash. All right, we want to ignore it. Now we are not doing this over here, but I want to add that. How do I do that? Right? If a-line dot.
No, okay, we don't do.
Yeah. What is this then?
We don't do this.
Okay. Yeah.
Python. Yeah, as in. Continue.
If I do a continue, would it read the next line?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think
great.
it should.
That's great. Okay. You know what? I just want to make sure that it actually does do that. All right. Before we start bombarding that, okay, so now we have everything. And if I comment out something, the reason why I'm talking about commenting, yep. So now I have the ability to comment. So the thing is, when we are testing this, I don't want to be like constantly hitting the web service and everything. All right, so we have that.
Right. Why is it?
Yeah, I'm wondering the same thing.
No, I think your indentation may be.
Oh yeah. So there you go. No, it's not.
No, these lines are probably not indented. The line below that. One line. Yeah.
Oh yeah, that's because Alright, so now we have that. Alright, so now we have the petrol data.text. So that would have the petrol data.
Yep.
Now here's the thing. Once I do this, I want to make sure that there is a delay when the next thing happens. So how do I do that? Do you remember?
Time.sleep.
Just going to look that up. Oh yeah, time.sleep. Dude.
What can I say?
That's great, man. Import time.sleep one. That's great. It should also be a configuration, right? The minimum is can it be a fractional value?
Why not? No, sleep.
Oh yeah, I'm sorry. Is it time.sleep or is it sleep?
Yeah, time.sleep because you didn't.
Okay.
Yeah, it's okay. Nothing wrong in saying. Yeah.
Alright. So right now it should just. So let's execute this once again. It should just say. Oh wait.
But right now you're only hitting Chennai.
Yeah,
anyway.
that's fine. Which is fine. Oh, so there you go. So it got it, waits for a second, and then it exits. So there you go. So that's the data that we were looking for. Now remember from our
a lot of data.
Yeah. Alright. So remember from our when we parsed this and we put it into an Excel file and all of those things. So we need to essentially do the same thing.
Okay.
Right? So now we have the petrol prices, right? So I'm just going to assign this to a variable called petrol data. Petrol data. So this essentially needs to be split once again, right?
Yeah.
And when I split it, the data is shops, right? So I'm just going to call it shops is equal to petrol data dot split by this. Okay. So now I have each shop. Now for each shop, I need to only print those data that is important to me. I'm going to call it shop data. That's because each line in that in the data that is returned represents a petrol shop or a petrol station. Alright, so now I have the shop data. Going back to the Excel, what's the data that I want? I want the do I want the shop name? Am I storing the shop name in the database? Am I storing it? Did I create the column? Did I not create the column? Okay, I have this. I have the station address. I have the ID, date and time. Oh, that's great. I did not create the station name. Alright, I'm going to call it station name. I'm going to make this 256. This can be a null. Yeah, that's fine. So click on save. Creates the alter and then persist. Alright, so now it's done. Alright, is there a way to drag it and put it on the top? Because I want that to be on the top. Is there a way? It says there is a way, but let's see. Okay, there is no way. Anyways, we'll leave it as it is. We know what the data has. We know what the data is. Alright, so that being said, so now I have the shop data. Oh yeah, the reason why I wanted to go to the Excel was, what do we need? Alright, so this is something that we need. So that would be the shop name at the 0th location. So let's just put that in our or station name. What else? We need the station address, which is this one, which is at 0, 1, 2, 3, right? What else? I'm sorry I keep switching so many times, but yeah, then we need the city. We already have the city, and then all we need is a petrol price and the 4 columns, right? So that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20, 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 25, starting from 25 onwards. Six, 27, 8, that's the premium petrol price. I'm just going to call it 1. Premium diesel price. That's it, right? Let me just print all of them and see what comes out. I'm also not going to print anything else. Okay. Station name, station address, petrol price, diesel price, premium petrol price, and premium diesel price. Let's see. What was okay, so now I have split it. Oh, once I split the shop data, I also need to split it by
the comma
by
data.
comma, yes. So this is shop data. Station data is equal to shop data dot. Oh no, I need to loop through everything in the shop data. So that would be once again another for loop, right? Yeah, so
for station in
You know what? I'm just going to call it station data. Yeah, sorry about that. Sorry about the last minute variable name change, but yep. Now I have the details right? So I'm going to call it station details is equal to station dot split by count, right? So now I have this. Right? Oh, nice. It actually worked. Yeah.
Yeah. But why did we get an
we got something here.
index out of range? Station details 3.
I think the last line or something, yeah, it probably did not have it. Okay, it did not have it. But you know what I'm thinking? Oh, you know what? I bet that I have to do so now that I have strip. I will have to do a strip before I start doing anything, because I think let's see. Oh, I'm right. No.
Yeah.
Is it lens or count?
Len of. Len.
Why is this a function? And if it is greater than 1, then do this. Right?
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
There you go. That delay was the 1 second delay that we put. But right now we have the station name, the station address, and the petrol prices that we want. We are now ready to insert this into the database. Alright, and to insert this into the database, we'll have to essentially create we'll have to import the PySQL. The PySQL is something that we pre-installed, and the PyMySQL, I'm sorry, it's the PyMySQL, the GitHub link for which is already, I'm going to put it in the description and everything. So the installation instructions for that is already available. This is the first third-party library that we're going to be using as part of this one, because I don't think there is an easy way to just access MySQL database using using Python. So that would be import by MySQL, and the way we do it is, you know what? I'm just going to look up something that I did earlier. So it's this. I'm just going to copy this code, and I'm going to put this. All right. So before we even start it, I'm going to start the connection. All right, and I'm going to call it db connection is equal to MySQL host. That would be the host. Username would be the username that we have stored here, and password would be this one. Yeah. And then you would have the database. Let me also put the database as, and what is our database name called? I keep forgetting. I think it's called Petrol Prices. Now I have all of those. Okay. All right. So that's our DB connection. This is how you. Okay. So we can close the DB connection at the very end. DB connection dot close. Now I have that. So I don't have to close this, and I don't have to do this. Yeah, that's it. Actually, yeah. All I have to do now is say execute and then start putting the data inside it. Okay, alright. So now that I have this, stop printing this. Okay. Let me also create the SQL statement that is going to be responsible for inserting this data. Okay. Call it insert SQL. All right. Let me write this SQL in the script, right?
Did you run this once?
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah, I ran it. Didn't I? I already did, man.
Okay.
Because I can always say select star from information schema dot user attributes.
Yeah.
And I should see, I don't see a fuel user 2. I'm sorry, I did not run this. Didn't I already run the grant privileges on? Oh, I didn't do this? Okay, I'm going to run it now. Alright, so now I've done this and I'll say grant privileges on petrol prices dot star, which means everything on petrol prices to fuel user 2 at localhost. Grant all privileges. Yeah, so now this is also created. Let me create a new SQL editor altogether. Alright. New script. And this would be our insert thing. So insert into historical. Let me give the column names. I don't have to insert the ID. Let's say date time, comma city, comma station name, station address, petrol, comma diesel, comma premium petrol, comma premium diesel. Alright, so now I have this, and then I'll have to say values. Alright? Values will be date and time. How do I get the current date and time? Say
date time. Oh, in SQL.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just going to look that up. Now, it's called the now function.
Yeah, I had used it.
Yeah. Say date time would be now, comma city would be Chennai. This is just a test, right? Test. Station address 80.01. Diesel would be 79.01. Premium petrol would be, let's say, 81.01. I'm just making up something like that. Alright, so I have this. Let's see. Alright, so it's inserted. Let's look at the data itself. Create a new script. Select star from historical. Yeah, so there you go. So the ID is automatically generated. That's the current date and time. The only data that I need is essentially here. So this is the thing that I need. Where is it? Where is my... Alright, so that's my SQL. Insert into historical. Then you have the column names. Then you have... Yeah, let me just... How do I create a multi-lined string? Do I just...
Yeah, you can just...
Can I just put say slash and then enter? Yeah, that works.
Correct.
Yes. Slash values slash these would be the values. So that's now, and then we would have percentage S, right? Percentage S. This would be a percentage D, right? Because that's decimal. In Python, decimal is like that. Is it percentage D?
I don't think so.
Okay. Do I just put %s there also?
No, I think it's percentage. Oh yeah, I'm not sure.
Alright. So yeah, so now I have the insert SQL. Oh, hold on. Yeah, so now I have the insert SQL. Let's say with DB connection as I essentially want to work with the cursor, right? I'm just going to look up my previous script. So it's db connection.cursor as so that's insert cursor dot execute what? Execute this insert SQL, comma, you give the values that need to go here. Alright, so the values in order are city, station name, station address. So that's, yeah, so that's the city, which is essentially this, comma, station name, comma, station address, comma, and then you have the petrol prices. So I need to convert this into a float or into a double. How do I convert this into a double? It needs to be a double or at least some kind of monetary value.
Double, I'm sure there is a double function.
Really?
There is a float for sure.
Okay.
You can use float.
Oh, okay. Yeah, I'm just going to use float. I'm just going to use float. Alright. And hopefully it doesn't error out, right? I mean, because what will happen is, okay, you know what, just to I'm just going to look up what it returned, because if it has spaces or anything in it, float will have an issue, right? The reason why I'm asking is because I want to say, I mean, I want to decide whether to put the strip statement or not.
Okay.
Alright, so you get why we are using the strip statement there, right? Right? Because if the data that comes to us has spaces in it, we don't want the float function to fail, or the float conversion to fail. That's the idea here. Alright, so hopefully this works. So now I have the petrol price, diesel price, premium petrol price, premium diesel price. So now I have this, and I have the execute, and that's it. Yeah, so right after all of this, the cursor should automatically close, right? After this, there is a delay, and then db connection.close. That's it. Right? I literally don't have to do anything. And hopefully, okay, there you go. That's our first error. What is that?
%d.
A number is required, not str.
Yeah, I don't. Yeah, so you can't give %d is not right. That's what I thought. Right?
Oh, okay. Okay. %d is not right. Okay.
Didn't you do something similar in your earlier thing?
No,
Okay,
I didn't.
okay.
I was only inserting
Okay.
string values or something like that. Oh, you know what? Do these have to be within quotes? No, right? No, they don't have to be in quotes. because that's what I'm doing, right? I mean, the column name over here, I have put it like this. I don't have to do that, right? I don't have to put it in quotes or anything.
I haven't done this. So
Yeah.
I don't know.
Okay, let's just read through the error. Is %d format. A number is required, not.
Yeah.
not
So
STR. All right.
if you give %d, then you need a number.
Okay.
That's what
Let's see what this returns. So this did return everything in the format that I needed, right?
Yeah.
So that's the, okay, you know what, let me not print the station address or the station name. So I have the city, station name, station address. Oh, hold on. So that's 1, 2, 3, 4,
There is
5, 6,
some
7. So there's 7.
time dot now also.
So there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6,
Oh, you
7.
give
Yeah,
it.
yeah, that's
Okay.
correct. Yeah, time dot now I
Is
have like
taken.
hard coded.
Sure.
Yeah, no, over there. So that it would always take the server's time. So
Mm.
hold on, let me see what this returns. So that's correct.
Hmm.
So this is correct. Okay. I'm going to have to look this up.
Yes.
Yeah. So what do I say? Python 3 execute SQL %d what?
Not %d. It is under. Are you looking at just a string formatting?
Yeah, string formatting. So should I say string format?
Yeah, you should. There is a format command now, which is.
Oh, okay.
So these are the latest. This is gone even above the format function. But if you want that string dot format is. Don't do %. Yeah, string dot format used to be the way.
Okay.
Yeah, but you can use even f strings.
Oh, I can just use them like this.
Yeah.
Why do I need this %d and all of
Yeah,
that?
yeah.
I can just say str.
Yeah, in the curly braces.
Yeah. Why do I need all of that, right?
Yeah.
Oh, right. I mean, I guess the reason why I'm doing it is because it allows me to create the SQL statement just once.
Yes.
Correct?
Yeah, so then you can use the replace other way where you can keep this
Okay.
and then pass in the arguments later,
Okay.
right? Because that's what you're doing. You want to have this and pass in those values, right?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Or let's just look up what.
No, you're fine. You can use either the previous one or the next format method. The new one like this.
Like how?
This same.
I mean, using the %s and %d, you mean?
Percentage. Okay, sorry. Now then go up. What is the first method? I just need to check once. This one. This is the percentages.
Yeah. S method.
Yeah, you give it using a % after that.
Oh, okay, like this, and then okay. So age is what, 74, and that for that also is used an S.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. So even if it is
that's what even I thought. Everything
okay.
is
So there is no %d is what you're trying to say. All right, let's see if this works. Yeah. Oh my God, it actually did. That actually worked. So if I now went
to the database,
and I executed this. Oh, did I comment it out by any chance? No, it is executing. I'm not giving a commit. I didn't put a commit anywhere. I think that's why it didn't do it. So I'm going to give so if I execute this, let me put a, now basically I'm trying to decide where to give the commit. You get it, right?
Hmm.
So I have one station's data. So let me, no, I have one city's data. So I say, so I'm giving a commit after each city that is being,
Okay.
that is being done. All right. I don't want to give a commit every time I insert a station data.
Okay.
I'm basically bunching up all of these stations for a city, and then I'm, okay. What are the chances that it worked? Of course it worked. So now you can see that it has inserted everything. Don't pay any attention to this ID column. It is auto generated,
Right.
and all of those non-committed rows, I think they also have like sort of done this. Of course, I'm going to be truncating this database before I start the new one, but all of the data that I need is essentially
Correct.
there.
Yes.
It's there. All right. And now, do you think I should run this service once for all the cities? I don't need this anymore. Do you think I should run it for all the cities?
Just go back to the database. I just want to check once. Why do I see twice those?
No, that's the station. No, that's the station address and that's the station names.
Oh, got it.
Yeah, we inserted the station name
at the end.
at the
Got
end.
it, got
So,
it, got it.
yeah. So that's what it looks like.
Perfect.
Right? So
Yep.
let's go back to our property files, uncomment everything, right? So now we have 10 cities.
Wow. Then we should get lots of.
Yeah, we should get lots of data, but before I do that, I'm going to truncate. Alright, let's see what it has now. It has nothing in it. That's it. We are now ready to execute.
Yes.
Oh, by the way, before I do that, let me remove that print statement. I don't want that print statement.
Yeah.
And right after I commit, I'm going to say done. And at the very end,
Okay, done and comma city. Done. Okay.
Yeah.
Sure.
done. Yeah,
Okay.
I mean, it will say getting petrol prices for city,
Okay.
and
Perfect.
then done, and
Yeah.
then at the very end, done.
Got it.
All right, let's see. You can see how fast that was. If there was a system administrator at the other end, and if he sees like a bunch of requests coming in from a specific IP address, he's going to get, he's not going to be happy about it. All right. Anyways, it looks like it has failed at Guwahati, but that's fine. The reason for that is because maybe the Indian Oil doesn't operate at Guwahati, and therefore it was not able to get the prices.
Oh.
But I guess that's fine, because for the purposes of just getting the petrol prices and then storing it in a database, I think we are basically done with that. Or, you know what, let's just comment everything else, and let's just start with Ahmedabad, right? Yeah, Ahmedabad, Bhopal and Kochi. So we couldn't get the petrol prices for Guwahati, but that's fine, I guess. So now that we have all the petrol prices, let's see what we remove this so that I don't accidentally execute it. So there you go. So that's all of the petrol prices for all of the cities. All right. So you will have at least representative petrol prices for each city.
Okay.
Now, how do you ensure? Now, what we want to do is ensure that we write. So that's it. So that the data gathering part of it is done.
Right.
So how this would work is that this cron job would run, let's say, once in the morning or once every 2 hours or whatever. All right. Then there is the web service part. The web service part is where somebody would send us a city name. That's it, in the request itself. And we would return a JSON data containing all of this data that you are seeing for that specific city.
Right. Yep.
All right. That's the idea over here.
Right.
Now to do that, we'll have to create a web service. Right, and the create web service part of it, we have already done. And what we did to do that was, okay, so now you need a way to execute Python on the server end, so that it executes it on the server and then essentially serves it to us.
Right.
To do that on Apache, we essentially had to. So on our Apache web service, on our Apache HTTP server, we went to the site's not the sites available.
Enabled?
Enabled. No. So sites available is where you configure and then you enable it using that command. That command. So we created this codespace.conf. That looks like this. I'm going to open this in Sublime Text again, so that the font is big and all. So this is what we did. All right. We defined the server name. We defined the W script alias, where we said if I went to localhost, and I put /codespace, it would execute this WSGI file, which is essentially, So this is the text that I was talking about, which is essentially also a Python file. So this would be executed on the server, and whatever is the value from it would be returned to the web page. All right, and then once you have configured this, you'll have to enable it, restart your Apache 2, and you also have that's about it. Once you've done that, you're done. You're done. So whatever you put over here would be executed as a Python file. So if I went to, let's say, my local server /codespace, it would return whatever this would return. So now we'll have to just essentially change this web page to serve to accept a request and then serve whatever to serve whatever data we want. All right. So so that's about it actually. So let's do this. So first things first, I need to write a query where I can say select star from historical hedge, where city is equal to Chennai. So this would return me only Chennai's data. But I also want to make sure that it returns the latest Chennai data, because remember, this table is called historical, which means it is going to have historical Chennai prices. I only want to get the latest. So how do I do that? So you can see that all of these, so I can just basically do the current date or whatever is the current date, right? Because I'm going to be executing this as a cron job only once per day,
right?
So I can say give me only data for that day. That's it, right? I can say where date time is greater than today, right? Greater than or equal to whatever is today. I have to look that up. Yeah, it's the CUR date. So I can actually that's it. Oh, I'm sorry. So there you go. So that's how you'll have to do it. Alright, so that would give me all of Chennai's data that is applicable only for today. And this I'll have to convert it back into JSON and then return it back. So that's my copy. So that's my query, which I'm going to put in my alright, first things first. DB username would be whatever that password is. I keep forgetting the password. Alright, that's my so that's my password. What else? I need an SQL query, right? Oh, I also need a DB name. And my SQL query. That's it, right? And this would be what? %s, right? And I do not need this, correct? I don't need this. because percentage s that would automatically put the quotes and everything. Yeah. Alright, so that's my SQL query and everything. Let me create the DB connection. Alright, DB connection is equal to host. I mean, I have the host. I should probably put that in the config as well. But for now, we'll just leave it alone because we didn't put it. Alright. So ideally, I mean, if you're just seeing this part of the video, keep in mind that if you are, I mean, you shouldn't expose your usernames and passwords like this, right? You should put it in a configuration file. The configuration file itself should be encrypted and the key should be hidden somewhere that only you would know. So all of those security precautions you'll have to take care of. And you know, just in the interest of time, and because that's not the subject of this episode, we are not encrypting this, putting it in a separate configuration file and all of those things. Maybe we'll visit it at some point in the future. Alright, so now I have this. I have yeah. So hey, so I need a way. Alright, so I need a way to find out the URL that was used, or let's just make it get for now. All right. Or I need a way to essentially get the request. All right. So yes, unfortunately, I'm going to have to look that up. WSGI. Get parameters. Yeah, sorry, I'll have to look that up. Okay, so I have oh, is that it? Okay. So what I need is a way to essentially get whatever query string that we are using. So we have something called as the environ. Okay, so you know what I'm going to do? I'm just going for now, not going to do any connection or anything. Let everything else be the same. In my response, I'm just going to say response is equal to environ, right? Oh, that's it. It's the env is equal to env, and then just going to return that response, just so that I can see what the environment looks like. Oh, okay. So there is an error. Okay, let's put. So that's my query string, and if I did this again, okay. So there you go. So that's what it looks like. Okay, so I can now say nothing. Let's say code space question mark city is equal to Chennai, and then that environment variable. So that okay, so whatever was there in the query string, in the get query string, gets stored inside this environment variable that the WSGI application function already has. So when WSGI starts executing, it gets into this application, into this function called application, and it automatically passes an environment variable and the start response, right? So that's essentially what I need. So this environment essentially contains all of the headers or any query parameters or anything that gets passed to me. All right. So I'm just going to use this, and I'm going to say, so this will have, say query string, and if I say query string of city, the city is equal to query string of city, and if I just print this city, it should have whatever I pass over here. Oh, that's an internal server error. You know what? I bet Okay, I'm just going to have to look this up again. Oh, it's d.get. I mean, it's whatever dictionary.get, right? Because that's, oh, what is this parse query string? Oh, I'll have to do this parse query string, apparently. What's parse URL? So those are the environment variables. But if I wanted to say, okay, tell me what the URL looks like or something like that, I think that itself would be like, great for me. Because I'll tell you what I need. How to get environment variables for your web apps. I should have probably looked this up earlier. Oh, there you go. That's the whole tutorial. Okay. So that's the environment. And what he says is, oh, okay. Sorting and stringifying the environment key and value points. So I'm just going to take this, right? Yeah, I'm just going to take this and see how it goes. I changed the variable name so that it makes a little bit more sense. Anyways. So response is this for key and value sorted of environment. Response.body is equal to join. Do I need all of that? Yeah. Response is equal to whatever dot join, and then just put this response over here. Let's see what items it really has. Ah, fantastic. This is fantastic.
What is this?
So that's all of the environment variables that get passed to me from this thing. So for example, look at this query string. Query string city, Chennai, right? And there you go. That's the best thing. So there is the request URI / code space. So I have this one. So now if I, instead of passing a query string, if I say / Chennai, for example, there you go. That's the request URI that I'm looking for. I don't want to muck around with query strings and everything, because I want to look at, I want this to function as some sort of semi-REST web service, right? Where I don't have any request parameters or anything, where I just say code space / whatever city I want, and that city, and you retrieve the petrol prices for that city. That's about it. That's what I want to do. So I have response. Yeah. So now that thing is called request URI. I do not want any of this now. I can say request URI is equal to environment of request URI. So that alone I think is enough. There you go. So that's code space / Chennai. If I wanted the city, yeah. So if I want the city, yes. So if I want the city, I can say the city is equal to so Ravi, so how do I, okay, so now I have the request URI, so I'm not going to be mucking around with the query string or whatever, right?
Okay.
I'm just going to be putting the city in with the URL itself. So if I wanted, let's say, Hyderabad's petrol prices, I can just say code space / Hyderabad and it would give me Hyderabad's Hyderabad's thing. So this is the URI that I get. How do I get just the last part of the string? Just this part.
Why can't you go directly?
No, so the request.
Oh,
URI,
you want to get the words after the second slash.
Yeah, after the second slash.
Yeah, there
Or
is
after-
find.
There is okay.
But you want the last. There is r find. And slash. R find. Yeah, this whichever is the request URI dot r find.
Like this?
Yeah, that's what I remember.
Okay.
It'll give you the index.
Okay, this will give me the index. Let's see if it prints the index correctly. Oh. Yeah, I bet it's because it's an integer, right? Yeah, so 10. So which is
Correct. Slash.
so it is code space slash. Okay.
So
Because-
slash.
Yeah, so
because slash code space.
yeah.
So from 11 onwards you need. Then you can get that by
Substring, is it?
yeah 11 colon. Yeah, I mean.
Yeah, how do I do that? It's
Yeah.
just like an array, right?
Yeah.
Like this.
Colon. After that number colon.
So
Yeah.
that gives me all of the items
From
after
there,
this.
or you want from plus? No.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there you go.
But
Yeah,
you
plus
don't
1. It should be plus
Plus
1.
one,
Yeah.
yeah.
It should be plus 1. Yeah, that
Mm.
is cool, man. So I'm just going to put this in an index or something. I know, I mean, because the code becomes too difficult to read, man. We're going to be uploading this and everything, right?
Okay.
Plus 1. So this will give me the city. That's it. Now I have the query ready.
Yeah.
Yeah. So all I need to do is get the DB connection when the program starts, or yeah, is that correct? Yes, when the program starts. I do not need, okay, I'm just going to keep this for reference right now, but at the very end I do need to close the connection. Hold on, I'm going to start the connection only at the function over here. Okay, I'm going to start the connection only when the application function starts executing. So it's a bit inefficient, I would say, but I'm okay with that. Alright, so now I have this. I mean, I'm okay for that. Okay with this for now. Maybe we'll have a better solution at a later point in time. Okay, so now I have the city. All I need to do is execute this query. And how do I do that? And I can so now that I have the city, I can say with DB connection dot cursor as I'm just going to call it query cursor. Okay. Dot query cursor. I can say cursor dot execute whatever that query is. Query cursor dot execute SQL query followed by the city. That's it, right? I mean, I have this, and this would return me the so now I have that. This would have a result set or something like that. So now I can say for result row in query cursor.
Okay.
For now, so now I have now that I have the result row in the query cursor, I can say, basically, how would this return? Oh, I shouldn't say star, by the way, because then I wouldn't know the indexes of those items, right? So I'm going to say, I already know the city, so I don't need the city. I'll say station name, station address, comma, petrol, diesel, premium petrol, premium diesel. That's it. I'm going to get it like this. Instead of doing it instead of saying star, I shouldn't ideally be saying star. And the reason I'm not getting the city is because I already know what city you're going to get it for.
Correct.
right? So there you go. So that's what the query will look like now.
Yeah.
So that's what the query will look like. Yep.
Yeah.
Okay. So that's 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All right. So now I have the result row. And how do we want the JSON to look like, the JSON data? So that's a dictionary, right? I mean, I'll have to create the return JSON also, right? So that's city would be whatever, the city, right? I mean, because you're going to send it back to us, I'm just going to send it back. How do I add values to it, or how do I add value to this JSON return data?
Just add. Just say JSON return data of this.
Oh, okay. So here is how I am envisioning the
JSON.
The JSON to be. So it would be like this. City is Chennai, and then there would be an array which will have whatever. You get it, right? And then it would be petrol, whatever price. And this would be repeated many times for as many times as many rows that are existing. So this is what I'm envisioning. So how do I?
I'm sure there is a easier way of there might be a JSON. There is a JSON module. I'm wondering if the JSON module allows you to make.
So that's the import JSON that
So I don't know. Making.
So I think it will just be an ordinary array only. An ordinary array that contains dictionary. So this is a dictionary, correct?
Yeah.
This is a dictionary, right?
Right.
How do I create a dictionary? I mean, on the fly, how do I create it? So now I have the result row. So let me just say.
No, what I meant is maybe the JSON module has some way of creating JSON also.
Of creating JSON. But what I'm saying is that you don't need to do that because.
Okay.
Because an ordinary dictionary itself is enough.
Right, it is.
Ordinary dictionary and.
Okay.
3, 4, 5. Is that it? 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Is that it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah, that's it. 6 rows.
Correct.
Okay. Petrol price, diesel price, premium petrol price, premium diesel price. So that's it. So these need to go inside an associative array or a dictionary. Let's call it data is equal to station name, like this. This is what I'm talking about. Sorry about this, but petrol price, that would be diesel price. I don't know why I'm creating this so many times, but yes, we are on this path, let's not deviate. Okay. Alright, so now I have this. This needs to go inside an array, and I'm going to call this prices is equal to nothing, right? And then I would just say prices dot push, or is it add?
Append
of data. That's it. And this itself would go and sit inside this JSON data. How would it go? JSON return data dot append. Can I append like this?
No, I don't think. No need. You don't need to append to a dictionary. You can just give it the key and equals.
Like this?
Yeah, or the
within
key name.
Square braces?
Yeah.
Yeah. That's it.
No, equals. You have to say
Oh,
equals.
right. Okay. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So now I have this. Yeah, that's about it. So that's what. Yeah, and now I can use the JSON formatter to essentially format this. Yeah.
Give all those extra things.
Yeah, extra things and all of those things.
Okay.
Now the thing is, I have forgotten how to do that. Just removing unnecessary code so that it's easier for me to scroll. I think okay. It's just JSON.dump_s.
No,
it's
dump.
Yeah, JSON.dump_s JSON return data.
Oh, okay.
That's it. And then you can take the JSON str and then put it here.
Okay.
All right.
Okay.
Oh my God, is it really so simple? We'll find out. Chennai. Oh my God, there you go. That's the JSON data.
Wow.
That's.
And there is a JSON viewer, right? Can we see it?
Yeah, let's. I think we should have Postman or Insomnia installed. I don't have either one of those installed. Yes, I know.
Yeah.
So let's take JSON viewer. I think my favorite is.
Looks like you've done this.
No man, I was looking for one that was hosted somewhere in France, and it was like really beautiful. It was really beautiful.
Okay.
I don't see it anywhere here. Anyways, is that
viewer?
Yeah. There you go.
Perfect.
Yeah.
Prices. Click on it.
Just going to
expand
this a little bit. So there you go. So that's your service, right? I mean, that's your service that will return data in this format.
Yeah.
While we are looking at this, let me also install the Postman or Insomnia in the background, right?
Okay.
Oh. I like Insomnia a little bit better. That's also a Postman equivalent.
Okay.
And I like this a little bit better than Postman itself, even though Postman itself is a lot more famous. Anyways, let this install in the background. But here you go. That's how you go and see all of the data. Right? So there you go. So there is a web service hosted for you that can get, petrol prices for a specific city. Now there are a lot of things that are pending in this code. Like for example, what would happen if I give a city name that for which we have no data. Things like that we have not handled. But for anybody who's like viewing this, you can at least go ahead and get started. You can get started on seeing how web services are made.
Yep.
Yeah.
Very nice.
Yeah. And even though I have the gumption to call this a REST web service, technically speaking, according to the REST framework, this isn't a REST web service just because it looks like one. There are a lot more things to it than
right.
So let's try Bangalore. There you go. That's Bangalore. Oh my God, there's so much data. So much data.
So cool.
Yeah. So that's So I'm going to go back to text, replace everything. Viewer. So that's the city Bangalore.
Super.
They apparently have a lot more petrol stations. But anyways, you get for every petrol station, you will have the prices and everything. Right. So this is what I was talking about. Yeah. So going back to that question that you were asking me when we were having tea, why do you need to store it in a database?
Right.
Number one, so that I have historical data.
Right.
I have like a huge amount of data that I can rely on.
Yeah.
Right. I can go back to historical data. And number two, every time somebody makes a call to this web service, I don't want to be hitting IOC web service on the background with all of the requisite data, because it involves a lot more things than just the city name itself, because then I'll have to get the latitude and longitude and then get the thing. So if I can just pre-store all of the cities, just the cities alone and their latitudes and longitudes, run a cron job in the background, it just gets the petrol prices at an interval, and then this is there for me.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
And of course we have not done anything security wise also.
Sure.
Right. I mean, all of our usernames and passwords are just there, available for everyone to see. All right. So Insomnia is installed. Okay.
But tell me, RK, you own an electric vehicle. Why are you interested in petrol prices?
Oh man, we that's a good question, man.
Yeah, no.
That's
But it's a nice, interesting project.
It's a nice exercise in creating a web service.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
very true.
I think you are right, man. This is not going to be useful in a few years. In 10 years down the line, I don't think
you think so? You think that's the time frame that we are going to not be having petrol at all?
Think of the time when I'll tell you this thing. You remember the time when Maruti released their Suzuki Swift? How long did it take for you to only see Maruti Suzuki Swifts everywhere? Think of the time when Tata released their Tata Indica to see only Tata Indicas on the road. Right? So even though at an individual level it looks like a huge expense to buy a car and everything, once the government or the society makes sure that you only want to sell these type of cars or vehicles, people do change. People do switch over to the new ones. A couple of months back, I was the only guy who had like an electric car in my area. Now, the same car, I can see there are at least 4 or 5 people who have it.
Right.
Think of how many Aethers you see on the bike. I think the only thing that is limiting the selling of that Aether electric bike is the number of bikes they are able to produce.
Yeah.
I don't think they are able to produce that many.
Enough demand.
As much as the demand is. Damn it, man. How do I... I speak high and mighty of insomnia. I don't even know how to create a website. There you go. That's a new request. I'm just going to call it petrol price, and that my URL will be http.
/.
Okay, so there you go. So that's a much better way to view it.
Yeah, very cool.
Much better way to view it. I know that Postman would also do the same.
Yeah, but this is also nice.
But I'm happier with this.
Sure.
I'm sure there is a way to change the font name or whatever in this one. Where is the font? There it is. And change it to... Yep. Okay, so there you go. So that's a better way to look at it, I would say. So that's very what I was thinking of.
Yeah, very cool.
Yeah.
That's nice.
Yeah. So that's it, man. I don't have anything else. So
very good. So I think that's great that we were able to get the data and create a service from it. Right in one episode.
Yes.
Very cool.
Yeah. Not a lot of coding or anything. It's just that it's a little bit tedious and
but it's nice because I think these kinds of things are quite complete in the sense we have a database, we have a web server running, we are storing, and then we are also exposing a service. Very cool.
Yeah. So right now this is only on our local, but we do have a server. Yeah. But the thing is, we'll have to negotiate with the. I mean, we'll have to ensure that WSGI is installed, is allowed, configured, and everything. So we'll have to before we start having this as an actual public web service that everyone can access.
Yes.
And of course, we're not doing any error handling anywhere.
Right.
Petrol prices.
Before we expose it, we'll have to do much more.
Yeah. But if you want to get started with it, I think today's episode would help you getting started.
Absolutely. Yeah. Very cool.
So that's all we had for this week. Thank you for joining on our 10th episode. Please like, share and subscribe to our channel. And
looking forward to 10 more. Huh?
Looking forward to 10 more. Yes, absolutely.
Good stuff.
All right.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.